Bear with me. I'm speaking from the heart, but it's the academic in me. I gotta have a little pathway, so bear with me. It's it's kind of it's funny. I have been in front of. I've had to speak to high-ranking military officials. I've had to be in emergency medical codes. I've had to be on a competitive. Oh, I've had to be on a competitive platform to in front of hundreds of people for weightlifting competitions. I've been in a cage in my underwear to fight somebody in front of thousands of people. I've almost died twice in one day, and this is still probably one of the most nervous times I've been. So, Pastor gave a great segue into what I want to talk about today. With trials and tests, I've heard Pastor Danette speak a lot about this as well, and this is something that's been near and dear to my heart because it's kept me going through my darkest nights and my longest days. When I was in my house by myself crying and stuff like that, and I would just ask God to just give me the strength. Just give me the strength and don't let me quit. I really didn't ask for like money or things like that. I would just ask God for help. And I wasn't a Bible thumper. I never considered myself one, or I didn't go to church much. But this is something that has held dear in my heart because understanding when I was striving for something and understanding the process and the tests and trials that come through that. And I used to always joke and say, I'm not talented. But I used to always joke and say, God blessed me with two things, work ethic and perseverance. And, that was okay. And as I got older, I learned how that carried me. And given what's happened to me in these past few months, which I'll touch on, I figured with all the talk about going through tests and trials and coming through suffering, I figured, I could do this. I was originally never going to speak about it, but Coach Bart, after I spoke at Bible study, he saw me at church, and he basically went dad mode on me. He said, go talk to him now. So I'm like, all right. So I labeled this, I titled this From Hell to Paradise. I got the idea for the title from the Divine Comedy. For those that don't know, you may not have heard it called that. You all have heard the first book, though, called Dante's Inferno. And I'll touch on that, too. But it's called From Hell to Paradise, what happens when you find meaning in your suffering. So I want to start this off with the verse, for God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. So we can all agree that Jesus was tested, correct? Jesus was tested. As I was writing this, I kind of chuckled because I swear if Jesus was here today, he could have been a battle rapper because the rebuttals he had for the devil were some of the hardest bars I've ever heard. But the temptations of Jesus, the first temptation, turn stones into bread. Second temptation, throw himself from the temple. The third, bow to me, I'll give you all the kingdoms. And Jesus replied, humans cannot live on bread alone, but need every word God speaks. Do not put the Lord your God to the test. Also, worship the Lord your God and serve only him. And as I was doing, looking up some research for this, I even found out that, some off branches of Christianity and some people even believe that Jesus' mission was not done just because he was done with saving us here on earth. There are some who say that he went to the land of the dead and saved those down there and brought righteous souls up to heaven from there. He completed another mission in his death before he came back for his resurrection. The point I'm trying to make here is that, as we all agreed, Jesus was tested. So my question is, if Jesus himself, the Son of God, is not above being tested by God, then why do we think we are? Why do we think that we are above this, above being tested and tried? I want to read some definitions to really illustrate the point that there is no change without trial. There is no change without the hardship. And please pay attention because I want you to really recognize what these definitions are saying. Trial, a test of the performance, qualities, or suitability of someone or something. Suffering, the state of undergoing pain, distress, or hardship. Inconvenience, trouble or difficulty caused by one's personal requirements or comfort. Notice that one wasn't as heavy as the first two. Change, the act or instance of making or becoming different. So why did I say these? I wanted to say these definitions so we could all stop being confused. Because a lot of times in our daily life, we have a tendency to confuse our inconvenience for our tests. and they are not the same, right? Your car breaks down when you got to get somewhere. Oh man, this is God's testing me. No, that's an inconvenience. That's a minor setback. All right? As somebody who had to just spend like 2 months paying for rental cars, I'll tell you, okay? But no, it's not. It's an inconvenience, all right? Or when just you have a bad day, God's testing me. No, that you just have some inconveniences. A true test isn't, when your car breaks down and you take your bank account takes a bit of a hit, but you can get it fixed. A true test is when a mother is with her child and she has $5 to her name, and she has to choose between buying her child diapers or putting gas in the car so she can make it to her nursing classes to put them in a better place, to get them out of welfare and out of Section 8. That's a test. A test is when you fall really hard and you lose your life. You've given everything to your journey, and you almost lose your life, and you come out the other end of it, and you start questioning if it's even worth continuing. Those are tests. In this day and age of instant gratification, we have a tendency to think that these slightest inconveniences is God testing us. I promise you, if your Amazon package gets 2 days later, it's not God testing you. All right? I promise you. So to continue this, to really get this home, I really want you to understand something. Romans 8:18, for I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. Amen. So one thing I've noticed is that our trials and everything, when we talk about wanting to change our lives and go on our spiritual journeys and everything, I noticed that we always come to church and we love to refer to the heroes of the Bible. We love to hear about David and Moses and Joseph and Paul. We love to hear about them. And we always say, be like them. And, envelop your heroes and embody them. And I have to ask, do you really want to be like your heroes? I really have to ask that. Do you really want to be like your heroes? Because did you really read the story, or did you just focus on the happy ending? You need to understand that there's a lot coming with that. And I ask you, if you still say you want to be like your heroes, then why do you want to be like your heroes, but you avoid the perils in your own journey? You don't go after that blessing that you've asked God for because you're afraid. This is it's not. You can't want the prize and not be willing to pay the price. It is hard. Change is hard. So my advice to you would be the hero of your own story. This is your own journey. All right? It's easy to read about these and everything, but we talk about heroes or anything, and you can label this to anything. All right? I'll give it simple, like a diet. People say they want to go on diets and do all this thing, but the minute it gets difficult, I went there. The minute it gets difficult, you stop. Did you only romanticize the end point? Did you forget that there was a beginning? Did you forget that you were going to have to go through things? What about when you want to change your life for the better spiritually? Did you forget that what did you think that it wasn't going to be change? It's not always easy. It's not supposed to be, though. And understand there are no shortcuts to the process. You have to understand that. Like when you try, the process is the process for a reason, and nothing or no one is above it. Everything and everyone goes through a process to get where they need to be or become what they need to become. And if you go ahead, and I dare anybody, go ahead and try to you can try to circumvent the process and you will be punished for it. You don't believe me? I'll tell you what, go look up 100 lottery stories and tell me how many happy endings you find. My people who've been on the street, fast money ain't long money. Right? It don't last, right? You know why it don't last? Because you got that. You don't know how to maintain it. You weren't developed enough you weren't ready to receive it. We have fighters at the gym. Go talk to them who've been to the UFC, and they weren't ready for it. They got there before they were ready. They weren't ready to handle that. So this is why you have to understand you can't this is what happens when you take the easy route. Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing, you may discern what the will of God is, what is good and acceptable and perfect. I know when we go through our tests and trials, it can, it doesn't feel like a test. It feels like punishment, right? But you need to understand something. God's not punishing you. He's building you. Do you know why Jesus was tested? It was to prepare him for his ministry. It was to prepare him for everything to go. I mean, think about what he had to go through. He said, fear not, for I am with you. And during the storm, people still feared, right? When he was with them, like they still complained, they still doubted. Jesus had to be prepared for that. Understand when you're going through your spiritual journey, like God is not punishing you, he's building you. And you need to understand that God is helping you, but God doesn't help in the way that you think. You're not a Monopoly piece, all right? He's not going to take you from point A right here, and you're just going to go right here to your end point. It doesn't work like that. Do you know why God doesn't help you like that? Because God is all-knowing. He knows that sometimes help is a hindrance. You ever seen a butterfly leave a cocoon, right? Maybe not in real life, but at least on a nature show. You ever seen that? You seen how it struggles? Have you ever thought about what would happen? Why don't I just help it? Let me tell you something about that. So understand, if you help a butterfly out the cocoon, it's likely not going to be able to fly, and it's going to quickly die. So let me explain this to you. Lack of strength. The struggle to break out of the cocoon builds strength in the butterfly's wings. Without this struggle, the butterfly will lack the strength to fly. Wings won't spread. The struggle fills the butterfly's wings with blood. We all know how important blood is, which allows them to spread and dry. Without the blood, the wings will remain wet and undeveloped. Premature emergence. I really want you to pay attention to that one. If the butterfly emerges too early, in our case, if we get to our blessing too early before we are developed, if the butterfly emerges too early, it will not be fully developed and unable to fly. Damaged wings. If the butterfly falls or can't pump fluid into its wings, the wings can be damaged or misshapen. An interrupted process. Interrupting the butterfly's process can lead to complete failure. Some say the best help you can provide is to do nothing at all. Understand that God is helping you, but he doesn't help us in the way that we think. All right? He doesn't intervene because he knows you need to be developed for your blessing. I guarantee you, ask a lot of people, if I can give you your dream right now, would you take it? Watch how, count the seconds they hesitate. Count the seconds they hesitate. It could be 3, it could be 5, it could be 10. The answer should be, yeah, but you're not ready, because you know you're not ready for it. Because deep down, you know there's another side to that. There's tests. There's things that come with that. Keep in mind, the more blessed you are, the more the devil tries you. Right? It's that just because you become blessed doesn't mean the devil goes away. He just doubles his efforts. All right? And you need to understand when you're on your trials and everything, you start thinking that these tests are like God punishing you. Oh, this is God telling me I'm not supposed to be here. Or this is the devil. If the devil's here, then I'm not supposed to go through this door. But God presented you this door. Of course the devil's going to show up at a door God presented. He wants you to turn around. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So understand something. When you're going through this and you mess up and you go through these things, you're not a failure. You're not worthless. You are a diamond. Do you understand the process of a diamond? Do you understand the process of a diamond? Formation, extraction, refinement. Right now, we're just in the formation stage, that where all that pressure's built up on us and everything. We're changing, right? Then God will extract us into that next level, all right? We get taken out of there. Our trial's not done yet. We're just on to the next level. Then you get refinement. And here's the thing. You ever seen the diamonds get polished from gray? It's not nothing pretty. Diamond has to get cut, and it has to get all the dirt removed off of it. It has to get polished. It has to get dipped in acid so oils and everything are removed off of it. Then it's set in the jewelry. If we are the diamond, our jewelry is to get set in paradise. We have to go through that trial. It's not the prettiest, it's not the easiest, but it is very necessary. I want to go next into understanding that, well, before I go, I want to read this. Peter 4:12 through 16. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you, as though something strange was happening to you. But rejoice insofar as you share Christ's sufferings, that you may also rejoice and be glad when his glory is revealed. If you are insulted by the name of Christ, you are blessed, because the Spirit of glory and God rests upon you. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, thief, evildoer, or meddler. Yet if someone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but glorify God in that name. So I also want to bring to your attention that while you're going through this journey, you think you're hesitant, you're scared to go on your journeys and stuff. I ask, why are you afraid? You know, it's funny, we come to church a lot, and I always hear the armor of God. The armor of God, the armor of God. Every morning, get the armor of God on. Wear the armor of God for protection. So why you got armor if you're not prepared to do battle? I'm just saying. Like, I'm saying you want these blessings and everything, but you're scared. God armed you. You said it yourself. God armed you, but you cower as if you're defenseless. You are armed for this journey. So do it. I mean, like, my question is, it's so easy for us to believe in this when we're in church and things are going good. And, you know, I remember Cody a while back talked about being a fan of God, right? When people do this in church, but they, you know, by Wednesday, you know, they're not the same. You know, you was just talking about how you got the armor of God on and everything, but now Wednesday you talking like you got kicked off the battlefield. What's going on? What happened? You're armed for your journey. God put you in that place. So what? It's not about if you're ready. We always say it's on God's timing. That goes both ways. It doesn't mean when you just get your blessing. It's also when you are to begin your journey. It's not on your time. It's on God's timing. You're going to go before. You're never going to be ready for it. It's supposed to be like that. How are you going to develop and learn if you know all the answers already? Yeah. It doesn't work like this. Ephesians 6:13 through 18. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand the evil, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with prayer, supplication in the Spirit, being watchful to this end with all perseverance and supplication for all of the saints. I want to tell you guys a bit of a story. So the reason, I'm going through my trial right now. Back in July, you know, I was coming home from visiting my mother, and I got in a car accident. Hydroplaned off the highway during a hailstorm. I'm talking the car's going backwards, tires are going forward. You know, by the grace of God, the car didn't flip, no injuries or anything. And, you know, I didn't take time to process that. You know, I got back here, got my car towed. I was like, insurance is going to take care of it. I got a title fight coming up. So I'm going. Things are rough. Things are not going well. I'm depressed. I'm in a bad place. I find myself saying stupid things like, you know, maybe I would have been better if I didn't make it out the back end of that car accident. You know, I found myself in a dark place. The thing is, though, when you have a good work ethic, or you're mentally strong, you learn how to. It's no different than being a drunk and being a functioning alcoholic, or functioning addict. I'm functioning. I'm still doing my job. I'm still doing my work, but I'm still in this dark place. So then we get to Phoenix. Got to cut the last 2 pounds. And I'm just like, okay, just make it to autopilot. We got this. We've been here before. I'm arrogant. I'm thinking I'm above the rules of nature. I'm like, I don't care if it's Phoenix. And, you know, people tried to warn me, you know, it's Phoenix. You got to be careful. Goes from 95 to about 120 in less than an hour. I'm still out there in the sun, so I'm just walking. Okay, come on, let's get in the car. We call it hotboxing, right? If it's 120 outside, it's probably 180 in the car with no AC on. Okay, come on, get out. You gotta get your pictures. Come on, jump. All I remember is lifting up, hearing the water splash. I see black. I wake up, I'm in the ER. I remember when I try to talk, you would have thought my jaw was broke. I I cry. I'm just like, I'm saying I'm sorry. And then I'm just trying to get it together. And I'm like, yeah, I go out again. That one was the time I did recognize something was happening. That one was the one I did feel myself slipping away. I had a lot of people ask me, well, what's it like? You know, some people tried to be funny, what's it like on the other side and stuff. Did you see the white light? I was like, no. First off, not everybody's experience is the same. And I believe that's by design because God lets you, put you in positions when these things happen. There's a reason, there's a message. I felt like sleep paralysis was coming over me, and I could hear, I could feel, but I couldn't react. And I remember just going like this and fighting, and I remember just, I guess it screamed. Coach Bart was right there on my right side, he said. Coach Joey was still turning, rubbing me, calling the nurses. And I'll never forget, I just said, I ended up like yelling, I'm not dying today. And that was my choice. And God let me know some things right then and there. He's like, number one, look, you were alone all your life. That's not the case now. I tell you that because your ramifications, the consequences of your actions don't just affect you now. Number two, you have people who care about you. You cannot sit here and just be reckless anymore like you used to be. There are consequences to your actions, and they impact people. You have a support network. And lastly, and to me, God has always been straight up. Like there's no fluff. He's like, and lastly, quit talking this nonsense about how you would be better off gone. Clearly you're not about that life. I gave you a choice and you chose to stay here. Wow. You know, you have to understand, I had to come, and then I had to figure out if this was worth it. Am I supposed to be gone? And what are you trying to tell me? And it was just like, that was it. Like, I'm not telling you to stop your journey and everything, but I just need to let you know, that this, like, you cannot keep going on like this in this place. You can't keep using your anger as a shield. You know, I brought up earlier how I got the title for this it was called The Divine Comedy. There's 3 books to that. Dante Alighieri. There's 3 books to it. It's about a soul trying to journey to heaven. It starts in Inferno, the recognition, and, you know, pushing with the recognition and absolution, just dismissal of sin. The Purgatorio is understanding the Christian life, and Paradiso is the soul being ascended to God. You need to understand that when you're going through your journey, you're not the only one. It may feel like it, but we're all doing it. We're all Dante, we're all trying to get to paradise. So all I ask is that you understand that this is a process. This is part of it. Understand there is no change without suffering. Man cannot recreate himself without suffering, for he is both the marble and the sculptor. You have to understand that there is a price to be paid for this change. And it's not monetary or anything like that. God's love is free, but understand for your spiritual journey, there's going to be some costs. One big thing. I mean, you're going to stop doing things that you don't like. You're going to stop having to do those things that you do love, that were fun to you. One cannot wish for a strong character and an easy life. The cost of one is the other. You cannot sit here and expect to go into your new life and be living your old ways. It doesn't work like that. You also need to understand that when you're going on a journey, I don't know if you guys have heard the saying, but pigeons can't fly with eagles. You're going to lose some people on your journey. Not everybody who starts with you is going to end with you. These are the prices that needs to be paid. And it's not easy, it's hard. But it is worth it. And I do need you to understand that this is important for you to know. You need to know this because you're not alone. It's okay. You're not being punished. You're being built. Amen. Yes. All right? God hears your blessings, but he has to prepare you for them. Because the more blessed you are, again, the more the devil's going to try you. All right? The arrows going to get fewer. They multiply. They get thrown at you. I just want to say this for this last bit. Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. He's always with you. your longest days, your coldest nights, your darkest moments. He's always with you. He hears you, and he's guiding you through it. You're not in it alone. And he's even protecting you. You think it's a coincidence that thing that looked shiny and pretty, it didn't work out for you? It's not. Just like God knows help is a hindrance, he also knows sometimes rejection is protection. He's keeping you. He's keeping you safe. And sometimes, you know what, he may let you go ahead and go that way for a little bit, just to let you know, because we are his children, he is a father. And hey, sometimes parents can show you better than they can tell you. Sometimes you're going to have to learn the hard way. You kept thinking that shiny thing was gold. I kept telling you it's not. All right, go look at it. You hear me now? Yeah, okay then, let's go. It's all of us. It's all of us. I promise you. So please understand that, as you're going through it, like there is a meaning to your suffering. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we just heard about Pitt, and he realizes that now. He found that the most painful moments is the biggest moments of growth. He saw that for himself. And I know if I can go through this and find this mindset and everything, and there's so many people who've had it so much harder than me, then you guys can too. Thank you for your time.
Wow. Awesome, right? That's awesome. A lot of wisdom right there. A lot of wisdom right there. And it goes to show that we are all of us, we're all on a journey. If you think about it, at the end of the day, God places on this earth for a purpose. And we need to ask ourselves, what purpose do you have for me, Lord? And show me the way. And then be prepared, like he said, to take the journey. And it's not going to be easy. Look around. Oh my God, some of the things that people in this building have gone through would chase most people to their grave. And yet here you are, right? Because you're taking the test. You're enduring the test. You're being built. And what a remarkable God we serve, because he sees the process. And, if I look back at my life and how he put things together for me, I have no choice but to be amazed how he took something that was all screwed up and he just continued doing all these things in my life that came down to, where I am today. And I still have a long way to go. But when you look at it in his eyes, you begin to understand why you went through those trials, why you had those temptations, why you were forced into positions where you had to make a choice. Do I want relationship with God, or do I turn my back on him? And that's the question that he's asking this morning. And as a pastor, my job is to tell you about Christ. And I believe that's what this church does. We preach the Bible. And like he said, we want you to have the armor of God. But the most important thing is that you know God. Because when you know him, and nothing that the world comes against you with can hurt you, can come against you. Yes, you're going to have troubles. Yes, your car might fly off a cliff and go different ways. And yes, you might have to, all these things are going to happen in life. But like he says, it builds you up. Just like that butterfly, it teaches you to overcome. And God is with us. He will never leave nor forsake us. He promises that in the word. All he wants is, like any good father, to know his children. That's all he wants, to know you personally. And life is a struggle, we get that. But let him build you. Let him build you and work every day toward that building. And if you're in this room today and you don't know Christ, and you say, you know what, it's time I meet my Father. It's time I meet that guy that never leaves nor forsakes me. I'll give you an opportunity this morning to meet him. And all you have to do, if everybody would just close their eyes and bow their head. And I'm not going to be that preacher that makes you come up here and be a spectacle and any of that. I don't like to do that. I just want you to reflect on your own heart, in your own mind. Who are you? And do you need Christ in your life? Do you want him in your life? And like Dalen said, we have options. We can choose not to listen and to chase the shiny gold, or we can submit to Christ and his path and his idea for our lives. And if you're in that position today and you say, I want to know Christ, I want my life to change, I'm willing to accept him into my life, then all I'm going to ask you to do is repeat after me. Heavenly Father, Lord, I come to you today a sinner, and I ask you for forgiveness. I thank you, Father, that you love me, and I thank you for your sacrifice, and I ask you into my life. I believe that you are Christ. I believe that you rose again to save me, and I ask you into my heart. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. And if you prayed that prayer for the first time and you meant it from your heart, welcome to the family. Amen. Welcome to the family. And know, just like Pitt, just like Daylin, just like a lot of you all, that this family don't run.
That's right.
You know, it took me a while to explain that to Brother Pitt when he called me. Because he's like, I can't even come and see you. I can't, because I screwed up bad. He said, you know what, Pitt? This family don't run.
That's right.
This family don't run away. God doesn't run away. When we come back to him and we say, you know what, we screwed up, he doesn't run. He does what any good father does. He opens his arms and says, come on back. Come on back. And that's what we're doing, is to keep Pitt in prayer. We'll keep all of you in prayer. If you need prayer, when the service is over, you can come up. We'll have the prayer team pray with you. For those who are new to our church, back in the back we have coffee shop. We can do everything that Starbucks does. We do it better, and it's free. So go back there, be refreshed. And if you haven't had enough this morning,